Hi, everybody. It's Mrs. K from the Massillon Public Library. And today I want to introduce you to three books that I just loved. I've read all of them at least twice. I just find them very moving and very educational in that they all deal with children with autism, children on the autism spectrum, if you've heard that term, and their families. And so I just find it to be, I just really enjoyed these books and I wanted to share them with you. Now, the first one is a Newbery book called Al Capone Does My Shirts. And I have to give you a little bit of a history lesson before I start this book and telling you more about it. So who is Al Capone? Al Capone was a notorious, a very, very nasty gangster and mob boss in the 1920s and 1930s. And he lived in Chicago and he was ruthless. And he had enemies killed. He killed them himself. He had a gang of guys that did the killing for him. And he was eventually arrested on tax evasion because he was the only thing they could find to arrest him on. So they sent him to Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary. What is Alcatraz? Well, Alcatraz is an island off the coast of San Francisco, and it is an island. That's all that's there is the prison, as you can see. And it's no longer functioning as a prison. You can go look at it and take tours and stuff like that. But at the time, it was the prison for the worst of the worst. It was considered, no one could escape from it. No one had escaped from it. It was considered, because of the rough waters that the island was in the San Francisco Bay, if you tried to escape, you'd have to swim those waters and they were not swimmable. So it was where they took all the worst prisoners and they put them on Alcatraz. Now, in order to have a prison, you have to have people who work there, right? You have to have guards, you have to have cooks, you have to have everything, and electricians, everything that will make the prison work. Now, there were jobs that the prisoners did, and one of the things that they did was the laundry, so which is why Al Capone Does My Shirts is what this is called. But everybody else were people that were not prisoners. So they had to bring them in. And so they stayed on the island. They brought their families and they lived on the island. There was housing for them. And at the time of this book, 1935, jobs were hard to get. And so people would be very happy to take these jobs. And so they'd move their families there. And at this point, about 25 kids lived there. And they had to follow all the rules, but during the day, they would take the boat over to San Francisco and go to school and come back. That's what they did every day. And this story starts with 7th grade Moose Flanagan, and he and his family have just moved there. And the reason they want to move and take these jobs, first of all, it was a good job for his father, who was an electrician. But the other reason is it's nearby a special school. And he has a sister named Natalie, a older sister, I'm sorry. Natalie is older. And Natalie is special. She has special needs. If she were alive today, she would be diagnosed with autism, but they didn't have that diagnosis in 1935. And so they didn't know why she was different. And children diagnosed with autism can be very, they throw tantrums, they have a lot of repetitive behaviors which people find annoying. They have intense physical and sensitivities, emotional and desensitivities. So there's a lot going on and people didn't know what to do. So they find this special school, they're going to send her there. But in order to do that, they need the money and the job from Alcatraz. And so it is about a young boy, 7th grade, trying to find his way in a new school, in a strange environment, with a sister with special needs. And it's really a lovely book. He is a wonderful brother. And it's just a really nice story that I would highly recommend you read. It's the first in the series. There's Al Capone Shines My Shoes, Al Capone Does My Homework, and Al Capone Throws Me a Curve. So it's just a very good book. And like I said, I've read it twice and I would highly recommend that you read it too. Another book that I really loved is another Newbery book called Rules. And this is told through the eyes of a sister whose little brother has autism. And this is by Cynthia Lord, and she wants to live in a normal family. Her little brother embarrasses her all the time. And so she creates rules and guidelines for him to follow. And if he can remember these, she will not be quite as embarrassed. And the rules include things like say, excuse me after you burp, don't stand in front of the TV when other people are watching it, flush. You can yell on the playground, but not during dinner. A boy can take off his shirt to swim, but not his shorts. It's fine to hug mom, but not the clerk at the store. And these are things that he does, and these are things that she has to keep reminding him of the rules because she doesn't want to be embarrassed. Now, the book takes place during the summer vacation from school, and she joins her mother when they take him to do his occupational therapy classes. And while she's there, she meets a young boy about her age. He's nonverbal, and he has a wheelchair. And she enjoys him. She enjoys talking to him. He's got a wonderful personality, and she really enjoys him and doing things and helping him. And her friendship with him grows throughout the summer. And as she becomes more friendly with a boy who isn't normal, she becomes a lot more aware of her brother as a person and not just that annoying little brother. So it's a very helpful book for you to read and learn how people deal with these things. And because she's not really that likable at times because she can be very mean to him. And the last book I want to read is a book that is not a Newbery book, but should be. I find it. It's by Anne Martin. It's called Rain, Rain. And it is about a 5th grade girl, named Rose. And she is diagnosed as having high functioning autism. And so she goes to school, a regular school with regular kids, and she lives alone with her father and her dog. And her dog is named Rain, R-A-I-N. She finds him, her father finds the dog in the rain. And so that's where she gets the name. And she just adores this dog. Now, she is obsessed with rules, prime numbers, and homonyms. If you don't know what a homonym is, it is words that sound the same but have different spellings and different meanings. Like rain, R-A-I-N, the wet stuff that comes down, and then reign, R-E-I-G-N, like the queen reigns over her kingdom, or reign, R-E-I-N, as in, what you control horses with, or reindeer, things like that. All right, so that's what a hominin is, and she is obsessed. And she writes the story the way her brain works, which I love, because it gives us a real understanding how some people brains work. They might not work the same as ours. And I know you can't see this, but she writes Rain, her dog, knows, K-N-O-W-S, and then in parentheses puts the word, the hominin, N-O-S-E. Knows to, T-W-O-T-O-O, stay away from my father's feet, and then in parentheses, F-E-A-T, right, because of feet, and his shoes, S-H-O-E-S, which is what she needs to stay away from, but in parentheses, she puts S-H-O-O-S, means to shoo away. So I just really like that because it gives you a real understanding of her brain and what she has to go through to survive every day. And it's a lot harder for her than it is for a lot of us. And how she gets through each day, because she's in a class with kids that do not have autism, and they don't like her because she makes their life more difficult, her outbreaks, the way she thinks, the things she says. And so she has 1 or 2 friends, but the rest of them, she's not well liked because she's annoying, as some of them would say. And we also understand as we read this book that she has to follow the rules. She has to. That's how her brain is, and she can't do anything else. But sometimes following the rules will break your heart. And so this is a book for everyone to read. I think you will really enjoy it because the story is very good. All right, so I highly recommend those 3 books, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.